The forgotten warning captain Zara Velkoff had hunted across 17 star systems and brought down targets that would make seasoned mercenaries wet themselves in terror. Her ship, the Crimson Talon, bore the scars of 1,000 firefights, and her crew respected her for one simple reason: she delivered. Every contract, every bounty, every impossible target found its way into her cargo hold, usually in pieces. But when the datapad lit up with the contract details that morning, even Zara felt her blood chill. The holographic display showed a human, male, brown hair, average height, wearing simple civilian clothes. The bounty was more credits than she'd seen in a lifetime of hunting the galaxy's most dangerous criminals. The client was listed as anonymous hegemony priority. Captain, her first officer, Crix said from behind her, his chitinous voice carrying an unusual tremor. "You're not seriously considering this?" Zara turned to face her crew. Crix, a seasoned Zephyrian warrior whose people had conquered half the outer rim before joining the coalition. Thane, a Corvin tech specialist whose cybernetic implants could hack through any security system. Dr. Lysa, whose Altarian medical knowledge had saved them all more times than she could count. And Brix, the demolitions expert whose enthusiasm for explosives was matched only by his skill with them. All of them looked terrified. "It's just one human," Zara said, though her voice lacked its usual confidence. "One scared little mammal hiding in some backwater system." Captain, Dr. Lysa, stepped forward, her blue skin pale with worry. "My grandmother lived through the Terran wars. She told me stories about what humans could do when cornered. They don't fight like other species. They don't surrender. They adapt." Zara waved dismissively. "Old wives' tales. Humans vanished from the galaxy 2 centuries ago. If they were so dangerous, where are they now?" Thane's optical implants whirred as he accessed the galactic databases. "The records are strange. Captain, there are mentions of humans in the early colonial period, but then nothing. It's like they were erased from history." "Exactly," Zara said, snatching the datapad. "Because they're extinct, hiding, or too weak to matter. This contract could set us up for life." The silence stretched until Crix finally spoke. "There's a reason no one hunts humans anymore, Captain. There's a reason the old contracts were sealed away. My father served in the hegemony fleet during the last confirmed human contact. He never spoke of what happened, but he would wake up screaming for years afterward." Zara felt a flicker of doubt, but the numbers on the contract were too tempting. Plot a course for the outer spiral. "According to this, our target was last seen near the Kepler system. The journey took 6 days, and with each passing hour, the crew grew more restless. They shared whispered conversations that stopped whenever Zara entered a room. Even the ship's AI seemed subdued, its usual cheerful announcements replaced by terse status reports. As they approached Kepler 4 to be, a barren mining world abandoned after the ore veins ran dry, Zara studied the target profile again. Marcus Chen, age unknown, occupation listed as researcher. No known military training, no criminal record, no special skills noted. He looked ordinary, unremarkable, human. "Life signs detected on the surface," Thane reported, his voice tight. "One individual, weak biosignature, located in the old mining complex." Zara stood, checking her pulse rifle. "One frightened academic hiding in the ruins. We'll be back on the ship in an hour." They descended through the thin atmosphere in their assault shuttle. The mining station sprawled across a rocky plateau, its corrugated buildings weathered by centuries of dust storms. Most of the structures were half collapsed. creating a maze of shadows and debris. Zara led the team through the complex, following Thane's scanner readings. The life sign was moving slowly, erratically, as if the target was injured or exhausted. Perfect. They found him in what had once been the station's central hub. Marcus Chen sat against a broken support beam, clutching his side where dark stains marked his clothing. His breathing was labored, and his eyes were closed. He looked exactly like the profile image, ordinary, harmless, defeated. Marcus Chen. Zara called out, her rifle trained on him. By the authority of the Hegemony Coalition, you're under arrest. The human's eyes opened slowly. They were brown, unremarkable, but something in their depths made Zara's finger hover over the trigger. I've been waiting for you, he said quietly. Smart man. Surrender now, and this goes easy. Marcus smiled, and Zara felt ice form in her stomach. I didn't say I was waiting to surrender. The first explosion came from behind them. Bricks spun around, his scanner showing multiple heat signatures where moments before there had been nothing. Captain, we've got company. The second explosion took out their shuttle. Through the hub's cracked windows, they watched their escape. Root disappear in a ball of flame and twisted metal. Impossible, Thane whispered, his implants sparking as they tried to process sensor data that made no sense. There were no other life signs, nothing. The scanners showed empty buildings. Marcus struggled to his feet, his injuries apparently less severe than they'd appeared. Your scanners are very good. Military grade, I'd guess. But they're looking for standard biosignatures, electronic emissions, heat patterns. They're not. Looking for humans who've had 200 years to learn how to hide. Crix raised his plasma cannon, but before he could fire, the weapon simply died in his hands. Every piece of their equipment flickered and went dark. Weapons, scanners, communication devices, even their environmental suits, power systems, EMP. Dr. Lysa gasped, checking her medical scanner. But that would require a localized electromagnetic pulse generator. Yes, Marcus said conversationally. We built them into the station's infrastructure. Non-lethal to organic tissue, very effective. Against electronics. Humans learned long ago that the biggest guns don't always win the fight. Shapes moved in the shadows around them. Not visible to the naked eye, but Zara could sense them. Her predator instincts, honed through years of hunting, screamed warnings. They were surrounded. What do you want? She demanded. Marcus tilted his head. That's an interesting question. What do you think we want? Credits, information, safe passage. We want, Marcus said, stepping closer to know why someone put a bounty on human heads after 2 centuries of peace. The truth hit Zara like a physical blow. This wasn't a hunt. This was a trap. They hadn't found Marcus Chen hiding in an abandoned mining station. He'd led them here. The contract, the location, data, even the apparent injury, all of it had been carefully orchestrated. The contract, she whispered, was placed by someone who wanted to test human responses, Marcus confirmed. Someone who's been pushing boundaries, seeing how far they could go before we pushed back. Congratulations, Captain, you just helped us identify our enemies. A woman's voice echoed from the shadows, speaking in perfect galactic standard. Bring them to the command center. It's time they learned why humans are off limits. As they were herded deeper into the complex, Zara's mind reeled. The abandoned mining station was anything but abandoned. Hidden passages connected the buildings. Concealed power sources hummed beneath their feet, and sophisticated equipment operated behind camouflaged panels. This wasn't a refuge. It was a fortress. And if one human could orchestrate something this elaborate, what could a civilization of them accomplish? The answer, she realized with growing horror, was about to become very clear. When monsters wake, the command center lay hidden beneath the mining station's main structure, accessible only through a concealed shaft that dropped 30 meters into solid rock. As they descended, Zara counted at least a dozen defensive positions, carved into the walls, each one perfectly positioned to turn the narrow passage into a killing field. The chamber they entered defied everything she thought she knew about human capabilities. Banks of quantum processors lined the walls, their screens displaying data streams from across the galaxy. Holographic star maps showed fleet movements in real time, and communication arrays powerful enough to reach the galactic core hummed with activity. To humans waited for them. The woman who had spoken earlier was tall and athletic, her graying hair pulled back in a military style. Her uniform bore no insignia, but everything about her bearing screamed command authority. The second was an older man with kind eyes and gentle hands. But Zara noticed the way he moved, economical and precise, like violence held in careful check. "Captain Velkoth," the woman said. "I'm Commander Alina Vasquez. This is Dr. James Mitchell. Welcome to Outpost 7. Outpost 7, Zara found her voice. "How many of these do you have?" "Enough," Elena replied. "We've been watching your species for a long time, Captain. All of your species, learning your capabilities, your weaknesses, your intentions." Dr. Mitchell stepped forward, his manner professorial. "When humanity withdrew from galactic society, it wasn't because we were defeated or driven out. We left because we recognized something that the other species hadn't yet learned, which was that peaceful coexistence requires balance," he said, "and humanity was disrupting that balance." Alina activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy as it existed 2 centuries ago. Human colonies dotted the spiral arms. Trade routes connected Earth to dozens of worlds, and human ships moved freely through space claimed by other species. "We were too good at too many things," Alina continued, "too adaptably, too innovative, too willing to break rules that others considered sacred. Every time we encountered a problem, we found a solution. Every time someone said something was impossible, we made it possible." "That sounds like a good thing," Crix muttered. "It was," Dr. Mitchell agreed, "until it became threatening, until other species began to realize that humans didn't just compete with them, we replaced them. Human traders were more efficient. Human engineers built better ships. Human soldiers won battles they had no right to win." The display shifted, showing news reports and diplomatic communications from the final years of human integration. Trade disputes, territorial conflicts, and growing resentment colored every interaction. "The galaxy was headed for war," Elena said flatly. "A war that would have consumed every inhabited system. So humanity made a choice. We withdrew, officially. We returned to Earth and closed our borders. Unofficially, ... You never left," Zara realized. "We evolved," Marcus said from behind them. "We became something new, not conquerors or colonizers, but watchers. We've spent 2 centuries learning everything there is to know about every species in the galaxy, while they forgot we existed." Thane's cybernetic implants flickered as he tried to process this information. "But why? What's the point of all this surveillance?" Dr. Mitchell smiled sadly. "Because someone always tests the boundaries. Someone always decides that an absent enemy is a weak enemy. Someone always forgets why certain rules exist. Alina manipulated the holographic display again, and new data streams appeared. Fleet movements, resource allocations, communication intercepts, all pointing to a single conclusion that made Zara's blood run cold. The Hegemony Council has been probing human space for the past 5 years, Alina said, testing our responses, mapping our defenses, trying to determine if we're still a threat worth avoiding. They placed bounties on human targets to see if we'd fight back, Marcus added. They sent exploratory fleets to systems we abandoned. They even tried to capture some of our monitoring stations. And now, Zara asked, though she dreaded the answer. Now they've learned what they came to find out, Alina said grimly. Humanity is still here, still watching, still capable of responses they can't predict or counter. The command centers, screens suddenly blazed with activity. Dozens of new contacts appeared on the galactic display, emerging from what had appeared to be empty space. Ships that had been hiding for decades, stations that masqueraded as asteroids, weapons platforms, disguised as derelict hulks. The Prometheus Protocol, Dr. Mitchell explained as Zara stared in shock. Our contingency plan for the day someone decided to test humanity's resolve. You're going to attack the hegemony. Crix's voice cracked. We're going to remind the galaxy why humans are off limits, Alina corrected. Every species that participated in the bounty program, every fleet that entered human space, every politician who thought we were too weak to matter, they're all about to receive the same message. The displays showed coordinated strikes beginning across multiple systems, not planetary bombardments or civilian targets, but precise surgical strikes against military installations, government centers, and communication hubs. Each attack was perfectly timed, devastatingly effective, and completely unexpected. How? Zara whispered. 200 years of preparation, Marcus said. While the galaxy was expanding and conquering and fighting over resources, humans were learning. We studied every weapon system, every defensive strategy, every weakness in every species' psychology. We became the thing that scares politicians. In their sleep, an enemy that knows everything about you while you know nothing about them. On the screens, hegemony fleets were scattering in panic as their supposedly secret bases erupted in silent flames. Communication networks crashed as human viruses spread through systems thought to be impregnable. Trade routes ground to a halt as automated systems began following new programming. This is just the demonstration, Alina said calmly. The galaxy will remember now why certain boundaries exist. Why some species are left alone not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Dr. Lysa stepped forward, her medical training overriding her fear. What about us? What happens to witnesses? Alina and Dr. Mitchell exchanged glances. That depends, Alina said, on what kind of witnesses you choose to be. She gestured to the holographic displays, showing the coordinated human response. You can report back to whoever will listen that humanity is extinct, that these attacks came from unknown terrorists, that there's nothing to fear in the empty systems where humans used to live, or, Zara asked, or you can tell them the truth. Marcus said that humanity never left, that we've been watching and waiting and preparing, that the rules about human space exist for everyone's protection, including theirs. Zara looked at her crew. Crix, whose warrior people had never backed down from a fight, was staring at the displays with something approaching reverence. Thane. Cybernetic implants were trying to process data streams that shouldn't exist. Dr. Lysa was examining the human technology with the fascination of a scientist presented with something completely new. and Bricks was grinning like he'd just discovered a new type of explosive. "The contract," she said finally. "What happened to the real client?" "There was no real client," Alina replied. "We placed the bounty ourselves. We needed to know how the galaxy would respond to the opportunity to hunt humans again. Now we know, and the answer is—" Marcus smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "The answer is that some lessons need to be taught more than once." As they watched, the final phase of the Prometheus Protocol began. Human ships that had been hiding in the dark spaces between stars emerged into normal space, not to attack, but to be seen. Massive vessels that made hegemony dreadnoughts look like toys, powered by technologies that violated several supposedly fundamental laws of physics. "The galaxy will have a choice now," Dr. Mitchell said quietly. "They can go back to pretending we don't exist, can maintain the boundaries that keep everyone safe, can remember why certain rules were made. Or they can try to fight," Alina added. "In which case, they'll learn what humanity has become during our 2 centuries of exile." The command center fell silent, except for the hum of quantum processors and the distant vibration of hidden machinery. On the screens, the galaxy was learning to fear humanity again. But this time, Zara realized the fear was justified. "What will you tell them, Captain?" Marcus asked. Zara looked at the displays one more time, at the demonstration of power that defied everything she thought she knew about warfare and technology and the limits of what was possible. Then she looked at her crew, seeing her own thoughts reflected in their faces. "I'll tell them," she said finally, "that humans are off limits for a reason, and that some boundaries should never be crossed." Alina nodded approvingly. "Then you understand? Good. Your ship will be repaired and you'll be escorted out of human space. When you report to your contacts, remember this: humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We just want to be left alone. But if someone forces our hand again," she didn't need to finish the sentence. The screens told that story better than words ever could.